Peace and blessings. It's your girl Lishaba, aka Lisa Moore. I just want to do this video real quick. Hopefully it'll be quick. Upon inspiration from calling himself Brother Rahotep from 13signsastrology.com. Support him. Go check him out. I've been watching his videos like off and on for a little while, and I'm really inspired by a lot of the things he says, because they're things that come to me, and then I'll go watch his videos and I'm like, we here, because the same thing I got, same message I got. So basically this video is dealing specifically with a video that he made, which he entitled How I Met My Guides or My Angels. So I said, well, let me kind of tell how I met mine. Basically 2009, I had an experience where I was with my ex-husband, and well, we actually weren't married then, but we've been married. So anyway, he called me one day when I was out. I was working in home care at the time, and he calls me and he tells me, man, you got to get home. When you get home, I want you to watch this video, watch this crazy stuff on YouTube. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I'm out, driving in the car or whatever. I'm thinking, what is he talking about? So anyway, I get home and we're looking at he's showing me these videos about blood sacrifices. Specifically it was Aaliyah and Damon Dash and a bunch of other people, basically, and talking about the boule, the black boule, and all those different things. And then, if you watch those videos, then you're going to get into, the Illuminati. Then if you watch the Illuminati videos, I remember the one that I sat there and I really I was like, something is really funny, was Lennon Honor, who does great videos, great documentaries that bring up a lot of good points. Check him out too. About Rihanna and her umbrella video. And it was showing all these things about these kind of subliminal messages in them. And I'm like, what in the world? I saw that and I was kind of like, there's a lot of coincidences in these videos. So I'm watching it, and if you watch that, then you're going to get into the whole, the government's doing this, the government's doing that, Bohemian Grove, all these rituals and all these things they're doing. And then, like I said, you get into the reptilian stuff, you get into the, like I said, the Illuminati stuff, and all these conspiracy theories. So I, day after day, I started watching different things, and finally, I didn't really get all into it. I was just like, that's kind of funny, but I wasn't totally convinced. So I finally got to this specific video about the ancient, Egyptian deities and Mithra, and basically all these different Christ figures. And it was the same story. They had this many disciples, and they died, and then he rose, and blah, blah, blah. And it was the same kind of story. It might be a little different. Might have a few names change, circumstances change a little bit, but it was generally the same story. Then you got to the astrological stuff. I was like, 12 disciples, 12 signs of zodiac. Well, damn. I'm like, something is up. Now, to go back, to give you just a little tiny bit of background, I grew up in a Christian household in the Baptist church in Tennessee, and I've always had all these questions. I'd be reading the Bible, which is supposed to be the Christian book, and I sit through the sermons, and I sit in Sunday school, and I sit here and I sit there, and I'm like, what you're teaching me is not matching what's in this book. I've had meetings with the pastor. I've held Sunday school class over for 20-30 minutes asking questions. And one of my biggest questions was always, why am I here? Why are we here? Generally. And pretty much I wonder why I still tell you. Because I always felt like I didn't belong here. This is not right. Something is wrong with this planet, this dimension, being on Earth. Something's off about it. So anyway, when I saw that, like I said, I had this all these questions when I was growing up that were never answered, never satisfied my soul, never satisfied me at all. So I finally just said, I am so tired. I had fights with my parents about going to church. It just irritated me because I felt like I'd leave more confused than enlightened. Now, I've since found out that's not the place to go for enlightenment, but I'll tell you about that later. So, I finally got to about maybe 16. And I mean, I really tried. I would study the Bible. I would make note cards. I tried to memorize verses. I tried to do so many things. And the thing is, when it says that you're supposed to be a new creation, that's what it says in the Bible. You're supposed to be a new creation and all these things. Your mind is renewed and stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing the same stuff, thinking the same thoughts. And I wasn't like this horrible teenager or anything. I mean, I had things I did, but I'm like, I'm not feeling all this stuff that I'm seeing written in this book. So finally I just said, you know what, God, and so I just said, God, I know that there is a God, but I don't understand you. I do not understand how you work, because I'm asking all these people, I'm asking the parents, I'm asking the pastor, I'm asking Sunday school teachers, all these people that everybody keeps telling me they know, and the church knows, and all this different stuff, and the answers were never satisfactory at all, point blank period. They just were not sitting right with me, because I just saw so much hypocrisy, not just in everybody else, but it was in me. I was like, I'm such a hypocrite. I got to the point, not when I was a teenager, but later on, I got to the point where they teach you in church that adultery and fornication is having sex, or fornication is having sex outside of marriage, and adultery is having sex with somebody who's not your husband or wife, and you're not married to them, blah blah blah, and all this different stuff. I'm like, if that's the case, I'm going straight to hell, because I'm doing that. And this is when I was older, like 28. This is when I started waking up. So I'm like, I started saying, why am I calling myself a Christian, even though, let me back up. At 16, 17, I think, I just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to live my life, because I don't get it. But I said, this is what I specifically said. I don't know why I chose these words, but this is what I said. I said, if I see the things that are spoken of in the book of Revelations, because the book of Revelations is always talking about the end of the world and all this evil stuff. Well, that's what I thought it was talking about. I know better now. But at the time, my understanding was it was talking about the end of the world. It's talking about this horror coming and Satan rising up and sitting on the throne and going to be deception and all this stuff. So when I said, if I see those things with my own eyes happening, I will not be a fool. I'm not going to sit here and deny there's a God and I need to serve him and all these different things. I said, I will come back and I will serve you wholeheartedly. That's what I said. That was my vow. Because I said, I can't help that I don't get it. Like, I'm really trying. Like, genuinely, with all my heart, I am trying to understand you. And I'm trying to understand this whole thing. And it's not happening. So, that's the promise I made. And I said, I'm just going to live, because I don't know what's right and wrong, because everything I try to do that I think is right is not working. And things are so conflicting. And I'm not getting, like, I could ask 10 different people in the church the same question and get 10 different answers. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, if you're all serving the same God, you're all under the same spirit, how in the world do you keep giving me different answers about different things? It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like if we're all connected and unified in this spirit, in this one spirit, that we should all be speaking similar things, and it should be a consensus. And even within the religions, even in the Christian religion itself, you have what is the number 28,000 denominations. How is that? How do you have Jehovah's Witnesses who say they read the Bible, but then they got a different version of it, and then they say Jesus was the prophet, and then Christians say that Jesus is God in 3 in 1, but then I'm reading, it's like he's talking to himself. And it was crazy, because I didn't know that my parents or my sister or a lot of people thought that Jesus was God until I was 28 years old. And I'm kind of figuring out, how in the world did I grow up with these people? I love my parents, I love my sister. We don't see eye to eye, but it is what it is. How do I grow up with these people and I didn't know they believed this? That doesn't make sense to me. I believe in being close and understanding that. Like, how do you live in the same roof with somebody you don't even know their beliefs are? Because I literally did not know. When I heard it come out of my sister's mouth, I'm like, what? Jesus is God? Like, isn't he the son? I thought a son means you're birthed. You come out of somebody and you're their child. You're not them. I didn't know they believed that. And then the more I started researching, I'm like, dang, they do believe that. Wow. So, and there was a lot of disagreements between me, parents, sister, all that stuff. And I was asking them at first, and then finally I just said, I'm just about to go out here on my own and figure it out. Even though I did kind of link up with certain people and had some experiences, which I am grateful for because I learned a lot. And now I've come to the understanding and the knowledge that I have now. But anyway, so that was my vow. I said, I'm not going to be a fool. I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, ain't no God, and be an atheist and all that stuff. That's crazy. Like, it's something. I don't know exactly what the essence of God is. I don't know exactly the nature of God. But guess what? There is something there. Something out there. Or something somewhere. I don't know where it is or how it works. But it doesn't work the way people are telling me. I'm not resonating with that. I'm not feeling that. So, and then, you know, people will tell me all day that I'm the one who's not certain people. Or say I'm the one that's not understanding. I don't have the spirit. Well, I used to find it very offensive because I'm like, you don't know what's in my heart. Because I literally am really trying to genuinely understand. And that really hurt my feelings growing up. That people would pretty much resort to saying, well, you just don't have the spirit. Or you have a demon. I've been told I've had a demon. I have an evil spirit dwelling in me that's tricking me. I'm like, I'm a kid. Why would you tell me that? I have a whole opinion on telling kids things like that and sprinkling holy water on them and anointing the head with oil. That to me is borders on child abuse, but that's another story. So, anyway, I made that vow and I just went on. I kind of got into some stuff that, you know, at one point I said, oh, it's not good. I don't believe anything's not good. I believe that, first of all, I understand the nature of why we're here. We're here to learn lessons. So there's nothing that is not good. There's only experiences. There's stuff to teach us things. And yes, there are things that are not functional. That's the most I will say about good and evil. I will say there's functional and there's dysfunctional. What's working for you and what's not working for you. And what's harmful and interfering upon other people's rights. That I will acknowledge. But the good and evil stuff, when you get into that, you start getting into some murky waters. But that's another video too. So, age 28, how I met my guides. Me personally, I believe guides are you. And when I say they're you, they're the higher selves of you. And different cultures call them different things, like Orishas. I think that's Santeria. The Catholics call them the saints, which, from my research, they're the same thing. They just put a different face on them. That's funny. Or a different name on them and kind of put some different colors to them and stuff like that. Y'all know what I mean. And then there's people call them, hell, ETs, extraterrestrials. People call them, I can't even think of the name for them. Just gods. Angels. That's the name. Angels. So, I think those are one and the same. And I think they're higher expressions of you. Because if the rule is and the law is, and I go by just simple rules and simple laws. If the law is, or the rule is, or the guideline is, or whatever you want to call it, that as above, so below. As without, so within. The left is the right. The male is as the female. And I get these concepts from Kemetic concepts. They're also in Gnostic concepts. They're in a lot of different schools of thought, cultures, and religions. So, or holy books. Because I find that religion differs from what the actual holy book says. And that's kind of like Christianity. The book, the holy book that they hold holy, I'm like, you're not following it. You're not doing what it says. Something is off. So I think religion is a separate concept or a separate entity altogether from the actual holy book. Because the holy books I have no problem with. The holy book, I be like, this makes sense. This is right. But then when you look at what the actual religion that's associated with the holy book, it's not matching. So then I start to think somebody's been programmed. Because if you can read a book and read a sentence and then you start repeating something somebody else said, because this is what I noticed. When I woke up, my eyes open, I can see, I can hear clearly. I'm like, I'm sitting here reading this, and then their defense about why it doesn't mean what it's plainly saying would always be the same parroted answer that I've heard like 3 billion times. I'm like, that sounds like somebody just put a tape in your head, hit play, and you just repeated what they said. But you never took the time for yourself to read it and say, oh, look, that ain't right. Now, that goes to me believing that people uphold their pastors more than the truth. And they believe what somebody tells them, this, even though it's not the truth. And that to me is a fatal error. Now, I also believe people are going to have their own experiences. They're going to do what they want to do. So, I allow everybody to do what they want to do, and I don't have nothing to say about it. I'm where I am. I'm at peace with what I know, and I'm at peace with what I've been given. And there'll be a million people who tell me, you being deceived, and you being guided by demons. Okay. This is my thing. The book itself is not saying what you're saying it's saying. And basically, you're not seeking these things for yourself. So anyway, the way I met my guys was, I got to the point where I was reading all these Egyptian myths, and it was talking about, the different Christ figures and the saviors and stuff, and they were all synonymous, and this has been something going on for a while, and Jesus was a pagan deity. I was like, hold up. And I was like, it's got to be something. It's like, you telling me ain't no Jesus? So was there a God? It's like, well, what's going on? Then you get into the whole Anunnaki thing, and they say it was aliens, and they came down here and they did this and they did that, and they did experiments and they created this and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, shit, is that right? And it was so much confusion to the point where I got so frustrated to where I literally broke down to the point where I was crying, and I just pretty much screamed. Just be real. What in the hell is going on? I want answers. And from that moment, now I can't say that that's the first time my higher self, and that's essentially what I believe is your higher selves, because I firmly believe that we are one soul, and we are the many manifestations and emanations of that one soul. Some are older than others, some are younger than others, and then your ancestors, the ones that are older than you, and they've gone on to other realms, and they are working with you. And once you work with ancestors or ascended masters, ascended beings from one level, and you master that level, then you go to the next. That would have to do with the zodiac, and I'm currently studying a whole lot of stuff so I can pull all this stuff together. Stuff that's been given to me from the spirit, because I firmly believe that the spirit should always be the root of everything, and not your physical logic, meaning stuff you can read in a book. Because you, especially with us being programmed erroneously, you'll read something and you'll read it the way you want to read it, or you'll read it with your ego, or you'll read it with your biases, depending on the experiences you had. Like if you've been abused by men, I promise you, each and every time you will swear up and down that God is a woman, God is a goddess, and that God is the black woman, like some people say, and all this different kind of stuff. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, why does God have to be a goddess? And that's it. And there's people who believe that, and that's all they want to accept. And then you deny the polarity and everything. You deny that there's light and darkness, there's positive and negative, there's left and there's right, there's up and there's down. So you want to just throw out the father or the masculine energy. And then you got like Christianity. It's a patriarchal or masculine kind of religion, and they call God the Father, when technically the Greek word pater, that's translated as father in the Bible, is pater, and it means ancestors. That's hilarious. But then you walk around calling them a him. I hate that. And the reason why I hate that is because it's inaccurate. Because I don't want to get into the gender of God, which God doesn't have a gender. God is. And I've been through those cycles. I went through male, female. First I thought it was a male. Then I said, never really got with the female things. I thought that's very imbalanced. Then I said father, mother, son, daughter. I've been through that phase. And then I just went father, just masculine, feminine. Now, no gender, just one, just unity. You can figure that out through sacred geometry. You can figure that out through a lot of things. It's a lot of ways to see that mathematically and scientifically. Okay? So anyway. So I believe that all these, when I talk about my guides, my ancestors, that's my higher selves, because I have one body, I have hands, I have feet, I have chest, I have elbows, I have all these parts. So I believe that every little part of your body is represented by a higher spiritual body. And all these things, if you go through all the houses and you are initiated into certain houses and you master all the skills there, that's what Lord means. And I went through the whole thing where Lord is a pagan name and Lord is a pagan deity and El is a pagan deity and all this stuff. Oh Lord, I've been there. I preached that. I pushed that, and I was like, oh my God, y'all all going to hell because you out here calling on some pagan deity. That's an idol. Been there, done that. I've been corrected. So, Lord actually means ruler of a house or master of a house. If you put that together with the whole concept of an ascended master, that means somebody who has gone through the ranks and now they're a master of the house. You literally have things that you're trying to know or connect, yada, which means to marry or join or whatever. You're trying to connect with that energy, because spirits are not like us. They don't have this that we have. They're spirits. They're frequencies, like energy. And when, like I said, 13 signs, Rahu, he said this, I was like, damn, that's exactly what I got. They're energy. They're spirit. So you can't equate them. You can't think of them like us. You have to understand how energy works and how you receive frequencies and how you channel things, and they enter into your physical being. Then you speak things and you react and you do certain things. So that's what I believe, and that's what I receive. And I receive that from a higher source than me. So basically, you're trying to ascend through all these levels and become all things. King of Kings, Lord of Lords. You. It's not Jesus, it's you. Now, if you don't accept that, you're going to have to really start to embark upon that spiritual journey alone. You can't depend on a pastor or any other teacher to teach you other than you. It's higher. It's a higher you, a higher version or form of you, but it's still you. You have to call out. That's what I did. And when I said it, I was talking to God. Okay? I wasn't trying to, because people accuse me, oh, you listening to yourself and you exalting yourself above God and all this. The thing is, you don't understand who God is or what God is or how God operates. And a big part of that is the fact that they took out every deity's name out of the Bible and they replaced it with Lord. The Hebrew Israelites, which are kind of the sacred namers, they're the biggest ones that talk about this. They're absolutely right. They did take out names and they replaced it. But it wasn't one name. Because you know how many names of God they have? Isn't it 72? So where does Jehovah come from? Where does Yah come from? Where does Yahweh come from? Can't think of the other names. There's so many names. I'm like, what is it? El Shabbat and Jehovah Jireh. Where does all that stuff come from? See, people are not thinking, but it's cool. You have to go through this, the steps. So first you come out of the era that, the name is just God. God is a title. That is true. God is a title. Lord is a title. Then you have a specific name that has attributes behind it. So that's where you get all this Yah and Yahweh and all this stuff. God's name is not Yah. God's name is, the God that you think you're talking about, the Most High, name is not in the Bible. I'm just going to lay it out there for you. It's not there. The Jewish tradition, Judaism, the concept that they gave us that says that the name is ineffable, inexpressible in words or in human terms, that is absolutely correct. That is a very true saying from them. So, if you want the truth about that, accept that. Every little religion has these little bits of truth, and if you start to connect the dots and put it all together, you start to see, damn, they're right about that. You have to come out of ego. You have to come out of being either left brained or right brain. That's what I see it as. You're divided, and that goes to being biased. Because being biased means that you don't accept things because you're only thinking one line of thought. You have to unite the two. You have to unite the left hand and the right hand, the masculine and the feminine. You have to put them together, and then you'll start to see the whole truth. Any other thing that you do, you only get half the story. So, Lord is a valid title, but what is this master or ruler of the house? What are they lording over? That's another video. So I asked, basically said, like I said, that wasn't the first time they spoke to me. And when I said spoke, I'm not talking about like a voice outside of my head, like I hear something. It was just thoughts, things that I wasn't thinking about and I wouldn't think about in my conscious mind and my conscious awareness. Like, I'm putting on lotion one day, and I just heard in my mind just the thought, lotion, the sun doesn't cause skin cancer. It's the stuff that you put on your skin. And I'm looking at the lotion like, what the hell? I'm like, let me put that down here. And it didn't freak me out or anything. It was just like, okay, let me not do that no more. That don't sound good. So it was just different little things, little just like hints and clues and thoughts and stuff. So I'm watching a movie one day, and this is what I talk about in another video about the 3 things that I was told that would help me understand and gain enlightenment and get clarity on things that I was totally confused about. One of them was to believe what you saw in the movies and believe what you saw in these games and all that stuff. And then when I heard it, I was just like, okay, all right. And at the time, what happened was I saw the flip side of it. And when I say the flip side, I saw the dark side of it, because I was elevating my consciousness and my vibration or whatever, or understanding, but I was still like at that slow vibration. The more you you accept and the more you master, you start to see things on a higher level. So now, like then I'll watch the movies and I would see, oh my gosh, they're conspiring against us and they're gonna kill us all, and I'm talking about the Illuminati, that whole concept, and the reptilians are running the world, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. That's what I saw. Why did I see that? Because my frequency that I was emitting was drawing those things in. Whatever you put out there is going to come right back to you. And whatever you are, you're going to draw and attract those kind of things on that frequency. So if you're thinking in that lower mind, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to take in. There's a scripture that says, not what goes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out. How are you taking it in? How are you consuming it? And Lord, people always think that's talking about some food. It's not talking about food. It's not talking about food. The whole Bible is a guidebook, a metaphysical book full of morals and allegories and stories that are supposed to teach you and guide you. Okay? At one point I had this thought that it's a book that I wrote to myself so I could come out of this amnesia. Like putting a trail of crumbs so you could find your way back. And I totally believe that. Because I believe there's only one consciousness, and we had to have something to get us out of this amnesia. Because, and I question, because I always ask questions. I think that is a sign of a truly enlightened person. A truly enlightened person who's actually wise and headed towards ascension and evolution and salvation, which salvation and evolution totally synonymous in my book. That person will ask question after question after question after question. They will question everything they've ever been told and question everything they ever are told currently. So I'm always asking, well, you get all these sayings that we're gods in amnesia. Well, why do we have amnesia? I've heard that we chose this reality. We chose this whole play before we got here. And I don't just accept it. I question. I said, well, why did we do that? See, this is the thing. It says, ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door will be open unto you. It doesn't say, open the door and just let everything fly in and then just accept everything you hear or you receive. It says you got to keep asking. The one who keeps asking will keep receiving, right? The guidebook says that. That's what I call it now, the guidebook, because that's what it is. Absolutely. And it's only a book like that. Now, I haven't read all the Vedic scriptures and all these and the other holy books, but I don't see what other people see. And like I said, it goes to, like I was saying about the movies and music and stuff. Every movie I watch now, I see this higher enlightening message in it. Every movie, every song, everything. Because my frequency is such that I only attract that. I only see that and draw that in. I don't see the negativity. I don't see the conspiracies all the time like most people. Like I was hanging around this couple, that's all they saw. And they would say, I'm like, damn, that is true. That's talking about some evil stuff right there. Look at what they doing. Don't see that no more. I don't see it no more. I see that and I see the other stuff, and I see both sides, and I see the message. And it's funny because I can go back and watch movies that I watched before. I'm like, damn, I didn't see that. How did I not see that? How did I miss that? It's because your mind. It's because of your frequency, your vibration. What are you picking up? A frequency is something you're tuned into. It's like channeling. So what am I channeling? What am I taking in? So at the time when I heard, they said, okay, stuff you see in the movie, that's true. So when I saw it, I saw, oh, so, you know, we keep seeing all these zombie movies. That means we're all going to be zombies. Or it's going to be a zombie attack or something. Or like 2012. I saw that. Well, that means that one day they're going to have this lottery and they're going to kill half of them, let us die. And then the rest of them, if you got a ticket, you can get on the boat and you'll be saved. That's what I saw. Now, I haven't watched 2012 lately. If I watch it again, I'll probably see something else. But now when I watch certain horror films and stuff like that, I see the concept of your darkness and your light and how you destroy things within you, because everything now is me. I don't see anything outside of myself. I don't blame other people. My problems aren't other people's fault. Everything that I perceive and take in is me. It's a result of my perception and the frequency that I'm on and what I'm receiving. So there's no more devil outside of myself running around here causing me to do stuff. I take full responsibility for everything I do. Everything mistake I make, every negative thought, bad thought, whatever you want to call it, it's me. It's something I need to work on, something I need to ascend above, some lesson I need to learn, and something I need to work on. So there's nothing outside of self. So now it says when the outer becomes the inner. That's the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas. Check it out, please. If you have any inclination to be enlightened, you're going to have to read just about everything and what it is. I read the Gnostic Gospels a while back. I didn't get it. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? I was like, I don't understand this. Now I can go back and understand it. There's this woman on YouTube, Ma Khaleesi, I think her name is. She said some stuff about like the tree of life and the Gnostic concept of how the world was created and all these different things. I'm sitting like, what is she talking about? Now I can go back and I understand. You have to get prerequisite knowledge. Ascension and things like this is just like school. Think about it. The school is modeled after the zodiac and the houses. What do they call the school? The schoolhouse. What do they call? Well, how many grades are there? 12. And then what do you have? You have a bachelor degree, then you have postgraduate school and postgraduate school and all these different things. That's all levels of ascension, boo. That's what that is. It is modeled. Everything around you is modeled after your spiritual ascension. And if you would just tune into it, you would understand that, and you could actually free yourself. I think I'm actually title this video How to Be Free, because to be free is to unite. That's what it says in the Gospel of Thomas, that in order to see the kingdom, you make the male like the female, the inner like the outer, the upper like the lower, the right like the left. And that's in Philip. You have to read all of them together, and you'll see all these things. It says the kingdom is within and without. The regular whole Bible we have just says the kingdom is within, and that's enough right there to make you think. So you'll stop externalizing everything. You have to know, or yada, or marry, or join the inner with the outer, the upper with the lower. Okay? And when you do that, you will see the kingdom. You will see all these angels, archangels, principalities that it's talking about, the demons that do not bother me. That's what people don't get. I have people on Facebook, oh my goodness, they'll tell you, oh, you're about to get possessed by a demon. This demon gonna whoop your ass. Really? That's what you think. Because, and I try to help them. They don't listen to me. It's very simple. You attract what you are. Whatever frequency you're on, you're going to attract it. So if you're seeing demons and they're tormenting you and they're coming to you in the middle of the night and telling you stuff and bothering you, that's because you are on a negative frequency. You only tune into things on the frequency or the channel that you are on. If you don't want to see David Letterman, you turn the channel. This stuff is so simple yet so deep. It's crazy. If you don't want to see the demons anymore, or when I say demons, negative entities, turn the channel. Tune in to whatever you want to see, and that is what you will see. I have never seen a demon. I've never had a demon torment me. I recognize that they are there. I understand them, and they are in control. Because in reality, the demons are in you and with you, and they're only manifest based off of who you are and what you have. And you can believe that or you cannot believe that. I'm just telling you what I know. I don't have problems with people. People don't bother me. I don't have people coming after me and causing me all kind of grief because I don't tune into that. I change the channel. I have a word. I either say poof, be gone, or delete. Any negative thought that comes to my mind that is contrary, there's a scripture that says we make all thoughts submit basically to the Christ consciousness, or submit to Christ or whatever, which is talking about the Christ consciousness. Christ is not something outside of you, or at least it shouldn't be. If it is, then you still have not united and truly come to knowledge. Actually, I'll see if I can find that scripture. But if you still got stuff that's bothering you, and you still got things that you're not in control of, you have not truly joined what is called, the Bible calls the faith. You need to examine yourselves and figure out, are you really in the faith or the belief that you really think you're in? Submit to, I'm trying to find that scripture, to Christ. Okay. No, that's not it. I don't know the exact words right now. If I find it, I'll post it under the video or something. But basically it's saying you make all these things, you tear down strongholds and all these things. These are all talking about thoughts. They're not talking about things outside of you. You have to equate them to you. You have to understand you and what dwells within you and know what the kingdom is. So anyway, I totally have been guided by my higher selves, and initiated. When I showed initiative, that I was willing to have this faith and believe and go through things, I gave up everything. I gave up my house. I bounced because that's what I believed at the time, and I showed faith. And I truly believe at this point that showed that I was serious about embarking upon this journey. Because what you don't understand is all these mystery schools they talked about, that you talk about on a physical level, and these initiations, they're not physical, they're spiritual. And if you can't show yourself worthy, and you can't prove that you're willing to do what it takes to learn these lessons and master these characteristics that are embodied in each of these houses, you got to study the zodiac. You got to study the planets. And I actually did pull up this scripture. People who talk about, talking about planets and certain and using crystals and doing certain things to enlighten yourself, what you don't get is you don't read the entire scripture. And it's crazy, because this one scripture right here, if you will go, and I'm talking about break it apart, get the Hebrew, define the words, which is the other thing that my guys told me to define words. And at the time I did define words, but I kind of listened to other people's definitions. I didn't break it all the way down. So it's levels. You got to start off with a simple definition. You might just go to the regular dictionary, then you go to the etymology, then you just keep breaking it down, then you get to the symbols, because all the Hebrew words are pictograph Hebrew. When I got into the pictograph Hebrew, that really opened up the floodgates. Hebrew is one of the, I think it's 5 very high vibratory languages. They have a lot of power behind them. Aleister Crowley used Hebrew. A lot of these magicians use Hebrew. So that proves that Hebrew has a lot of power. There is a lot of, and it's a little higher when you use the symbols. Okay? And just side note about Aleister Crowley, y'all need to really research dude, because they done lied on him and been very judgmental. Because I was reading about his story and I'm like, okay, he did a lot of things, he did some things, but I'm sitting up here like, a lot of people have done a lot of things in their pursuit of knowledge. And Aleister Crowley was on a whole nother level. And when I say whole nother level, he was actually really trying to figure things out. And he did a lot of stuff that seems unsavory to a lot of people, but guess what? How many things have you done that's unsavory? And I'm so sick and tired, really and truthfully, about people who are so judgmental about other people, and they can't understand that people go through phases and they do things that may or may not, you might not think are good. And it's mainly, let me tell you, the main group that's so judgmental and pointing fingers, Christianity. And that's the very group that has the book that says, judge not, lest you be judged. But they point, oh my God, Aleister Crowley was homosexual. How many Christians have been homosexuals? And let me tell you this, how many Christians have done homosexual things and they don't tell nobody? You hide in the closet. Now, whether or not Aleister Crowley came out and admitted it or confessed it or whatever, I don't know. But what I do know is that there's people hiding a lot of skeletons in their closet, pointing fingers and judging people, and you done a whole lot of stuff. I would never judge anybody. What you do is what you do. And whatever you want to hide is what you want to hide. And that's your demon to deal with. Okay? That ain't nothing to do with me. So you would not see me walking around here pointing fingers at people talking about, oh, you're evil and you're this and that. No, you're a human being. You make mistakes. And if you want to hold on to something that, if you feel like it's a mistake and it's bothering you, I hope that you can become free of that. You shouldn't do anything that bothers you or cause you to feel uncomfortable. Okay? But I'm telling you, the worst group, I ain't going to say it's the worst group. That's not true. I'm starting to see that a lot of groups are just as bad. But they walk around with all this so-called philosophy and things that they believe, and they are the most hypocritical. And it's the worst. It's one thing to point fingers at somebody you're not doing certain things, but for you to be doing the exact same thing that you're pointing out about other people, that's horrible. I'm like, seriously, you're the biggest hypocrite. What do you think? What does the word Pharisee mean? Look it up. Hypocrite. That's what it means. That's another word when people say you've been a Pharisee, you're a hypocrite, they'll call you a Pharisee. Look it up. It's right there. People who preach and do not practice. Who sit up here talking about other people and you doing the same stuff. And if you're not doing the same stuff, you're probably doing something worse. That's even more heinous on the scale of bad and good. Or functional and dysfunctional, as I like to call it. So, I'm telling you, people really got to get their own house in order. And really need to examine themselves and stop looking at other people so much. Because the more you look at other people, the less you're looking at yourself. And if everybody would go within and correct their stuff, about to say shit and kind of hit shit, correct your stuff, correct your mess, clean up your house, like the book says. The book says, how can you be over the church or the congregation or the assembly or other people, and you have not even cleaned up your own house? You haven't even mastered your own house. Your house is your body, and you have two sides to your body, the spirit body and the physical body. The mind is like the intermediary or the mediator or whatever between them. Okay? If you look at the concept of Merkaba, and you kind of see how that works. Merkaba. So, I mean, seriously, look at you. I'm looking at me. I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. All I'm saying, I'm telling you, this is just, like I said, I have no judgment about what anybody's doing, because I know everybody's here to experience things and do things, and that's what they're supposed to be doing. Now, if I want to protect myself against being harmed or bothered by what someone else's, their own experience, there's a way to do that. Learn you. Master you. You master you, you won't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. The government can do what they want to do. It will not affect you. The serial killer can do what he wants to do. It won't affect you. The rapist can do what he wants to do. And it will not affect you. That's what people don't get. And you're totally missing it. I don't care who it is. The husband who's beating the crap out of you, you have a choice. Stay and work it out, or leave. You have to know your own power. And when I say that, you have to know yourself. If you know yourself, you will know everything. You will know how to rule and master everything. You will learn magic. And magic is not what people think. Magic is not designed to go around here controlling other people, or killing other people, or cursing other people, because the Bible says very plainly sorcerers will be judged. Hold on. Let's clarify that. I need y'all to look up Malachi 3:5 and define the words in Malachi 3:5. Look at the word specifically, judgment. And then also compare it to the concept of Ma'at and her feather, and weigh in your heart. If your heart is light, you're cool. If it's heavy, you're going to go through some experiences to get clear, make it clear with you, but you need to get some stuff right. Magic used to, or sorcery, or incantations, or speaking evil of other people, which is what curses are, incantations, sorcery, that all goes together. If you say have a good day to someone, that's sorcery, but it's good sorcery. Why? Because you're speaking life. There's life and death in the power of the tongue, right? If you say curse you and your children and I hope you all die and bears tear you apart, then that's evil sorcery. So guess what? You are judged based off of what you do. Read the book of Revelation, tell me you'll be judged according to your deeds. So now this is the thing, I don't even believe in using certain practices to help other people, because you know what, sometimes when you help other people and they have not asked for it, you're actually interfering with their karma and the things they have to work out. So it was a time I was like, oh, I can use this and I can help somebody. No, I can't do that either. If you ask me to do something for you and you're consenting to it, that's a different thing. But for me to be like, okay, I'm going to cast this spell, I'm going to say this or do that, and people, casting spells is not that deep. It's not a total matter of mixing up nothing or doing no herbs or nothing like that. It's just a lot of thought and intent. On that note, let me tell you something. The Bible is not a historical book. And when I say it's not historical, let me put it like this. You need to apply it to you right now from the beginning. If you can hear me, you can understand me. I'm talking about see, hear with your inner hearing, and see what I'm trying to say to you with your inner sight. The Bible needs to be taken from ground zero, and you need to see that you start off using outer tools. You start off managing your outer court. Okay? You have to think of yourself as a temple. Outer and inner court. The outer court will be all the physical things. So when you look at all this magic that people do when they put up these altars and they use all these elements and they're using all these tools like wands and daggers and things, and they're using pentagrams, hexagrams and all this stuff, that's your outer court. You have to use in the crystals, you have to use the outer tools to cause changes on your inner court or your inner consciousness. Okay? The subconsciousness and the consciousness. Okay? You use these tools to bring about change within. Once you have mastered certain things, you fall off from having to do certain practices. And what's crazy is I'm reading this book now and that's what it says. But this is the thing, they have demonized so many things, and you don't look into stuff, and you don't want to read certain things, and you don't want to deal with certain things, so you miss it. That was the whole plan. But guess what? In reality, it's your fear and your ignorance and your lack of looking and lack of seeking. You don't listen to nobody. You don't even listen to me. Don't even listen to me. You verify. And when I say listen to me, don't just take what I'm saying and run with it. I'm saying you go verify for yourself. You ask for guidance for yourself. Okay? Okay? You look it up. You figure out what's going on with you. You have to do some deep soul searching sometimes. You have to really face demons. You have to really question what you've learned and what you've been taught and what you've chosen to believe. Because everything you have chosen to believe is not from a pure place. A lot of things people choose to believe is from a very biased place, in a very evil place, in a very low place. Everything you believe should be taken from a balanced place, encompassing the left and the right, encompassing the whole being, and not from a place of hurt because I'm mad. Like I was saying earlier, you got women that have been abused by men, and this is in our karma, or our conscience from generations back. And that's why you see all these women sitting up here now. They want to be lesbians. Am I against lesbians? No, because I know why people are lesbians. That's something you got to go through. And you can accept it or not. Doesn't make no difference to me. It's been shown to me why people do what they do. And am I saying it's the perfect expression of anything? That's not for me to judge. Because this is an individual experience. Everybody's having their own little experience and they're going through stuff. That doesn't have anything to do with who somebody sleeps with has nothing to do with me. But guess what? People from the reason why, let me tell you point blank period why women are lesbians, because men back centuries before were abusing women and oppressing them. And now they're like, you know what? I don't want no part of that. And I don't blame them. Why would you want a part of that? Your soul is going to literally reject the thing that has oppressed you. Now, let's flip that around. Why were the men oppressing the women? Because we look in history. At one time, women were very free and very liberated. So maybe at one time, women were oppressing men. I don't deny or dispute anything. So if I want to really know the truth, I come from a very impartial, I'm neutral. That's how you truly gain wisdom. Be neutral. Do not go off of your passions and what you think is right and what you want to be right. You have to really look at yourself and say, am I only believing this because it just makes me feel good? And because I got some problem with somebody? Okay? You have to really ask yourself and question yourself and say, is this why I'm really and truly doing what I'm doing? And from that neutral place, from my neutral place, I can go back and say, well, hell, maybe women oppress men and then men oppress women. I already know that so-called black people oppress so-called white people. That's why they oppress you. It's real. I have plenty of clues, and I'm working on getting history. And the thing is, all this stuff is really suppressed. So you gotta really search for it. But I already got a clue, and I trust myself. I trust my guides. Okay, they already brought that into my consciousness about the Caucasus Mountains, about Caucasians being caged up. Well, hell, when I got out too, I'd oppress you too. You locked me up in a damn in a freaking mountain. Research that Caucasus Mountains. You don't have to dig for it. I can barely find anything. And even the things I find, they're very biased. But that little piece of truth is in there. I'm like, okay, I can take that piece of truth. But then they add a bunch of other stuff in there. It's really derogatory. But the soul memory is a big thing. Your soul remembers. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it comes back and it comes with a vengeance. He's like, I'm going to get revenge. I get mad too. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is the message of Christ, the Christ consciousness, that yes, it was said that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth back in the old law, which is the old ways. The law is much deeper than Moses just came down with some rules. Y'all have got to dig deeper and see deeper. The old law said eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, which it did. That's crazy. And I had to ask a question. That's what I said. Then Sign of Enlightened One, you ask some questions. You're like, well, damn, why they do this and why is that? What does this mean? You don't just accept stuff because off of your ego or your lower consciousness. Like, yeah, that's true. These people who walk around here saying, yeah, we're the chosen ones, black people, Israelites. Man, please. That don't even make sense. It doesn't add up. I'm not going to get into why it doesn't add up, but it doesn't. You being chosen has nothing to do with your skin color. That's the stupidest crap I've ever heard. So anyway, when you get into why people do things they do, it's all based off of genetic memory. So what goes around comes around. Like I said, I follow the rules. I follow the laws. The law says karma. What you reap, what you sow, you reap. So if that's the case, then somewhere down the line, somebody oppressed somebody. They done came back reincarnated. Now they looking at you, and their soul is like, I don't even know why I don't like this person, but we're gonna mess them up. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. That's why these things happen. So at some point, perhaps I haven't found that yet, any proof of that. Perhaps the women oppress men. Then I know for a fact the men oppress women. But let's go back before what happened to the men. And it happened to both groups. It wasn't just the men. If you look at slavery, the recent slavery, the 400 years, America and all that stuff, that was not, it's not the first time slavery happened. Cycles. That's how I know that. There are cycles. So, that genetic memory, they took families and split them apart. They beat the crap out of them. So now you got people coming back in this generation, which I believe all these souls Just different incarnate. I think the souls just kind of jump around in bodies. That's what I'm getting. And that there's only one kind of, it's hard to explain. There's only so many souls, but then they get older and older as they go through houses and evolve through different processes. That's the best I can do for an explanation. If I find a religious book that explains it better, I will surely give it to you. Because I just kind of give stuff as it's coming through me. And sometimes it's kind of muddled, but that's the best explanation I can give you. So, when you look at reaping what you sow, if you do something to one group, which I ultimately is just doing it to yourself, it's going to come back on you. So, when these slaves were beaten and tormented, they broke their spirit. Because you know what I'm looking at? We as people, it's not just colored people or black people or African Americans or whatever you want to call them, or Israelites, as some want to say, we are doing the same things to our children and our women that the slave owners did to us. We are sitting up here trying to dominate and trying to rule over someone, a sentient being who has feelings. And that's what I see a lot in the Hebrew Israelite thing. Well, the woman is supposed to submit to the man. That's not how the ancient people did it. And I'm not talking about just the ancient so-called pagans. I'm talking about the Israelites. They didn't do that. And I know this because my soul knows that. If you got in tune and in touch with your soul will tell you the same thing. But you think you are this physical body and you think you're the chosen one because of your skin color, you are sadly mistaken. That I know. You're sadly mistaken. You're barking up the wrong tree. Totally barking up the wrong tree. So, anytime you sit up here and try to rule over someone else, you're doing what the oppressors did to you. And it's like it's been sown into your soul, into your spirit. So that's all you know to do. Because you're trying to like repair something because someone ruled over you. When you beat someone, you literally you make a mark on them. It's the same concept with eating animals. That's why I don't eat animals. They were tortured, beaten, mistreated, weren't fed right. There's no way that vibration is positive. I can't eat that. That's not going to build me up. That's going to tear me down. That is why I don't eat animals. It'd be a whole nother thing if you raised the animal and loved it and it was raised in peace and killed peacefully, which I'm not sure how you kill anything peacefully. Let's give it a overdose of pain medicine and it kind of just fall asleep and don't come back. But if that's the case, then you're going to have all that medicine in the system and you can consume that. So personally, I don't see any way to humanely kill no animal. There's just no such thing as killing something humanely. Even plants. Yes, I'm getting to the point where I don't even know about taking a plant's life because I see kind of a sentient, kind of alive spirit in them too. But I'm not all the way there yet. But I am at the point where I can see the way we raise animals and consume them, not good. So when you beat someone and you speak to them in a certain way, either derogatory boy, they call them boys. They call them tar babies and jigaboos and all these different derogatory terms, and nigger, even though on some level the word nigger, they talk about naga and all this stuff, it's all an intent. But when you speak negative intentions in someone, that literally is a mark on you. Look at I think it's Emoto Mashuta. I put a link on my page, my Facebook page, about him and the experiments he did on water. You literally cause a formation. You cause a positive vibration to go into that water. When he froze the water, it formed crystals. When he froze the water that was spoken to with negative intention, it looked like it was boiling and angry. The water looked angry. Looked like it's boiling. And split apart and like messed up. So your body's made out of a whole lot of water. 60 to 90%. I've heard some people say 60, some people say 90. I don't know if that might have something to do with the earth and it's changing, which I totally believe. So I don't know why we keep having these different numbers, but that might be a reason why, because the earth is changing in certain aspects. But when you speak to someone in a certain manner, you're literally infusing that in them. So when we think about spanking our kids, you need to look up that scripture that says spare the rod, spoil the child. You need to look into Egyptian history And you understand, and even Hebrew history, Hebrew literature and things like that. The staff, the rod is actually a staff. The staff is a shepherd's staff. The shepherd's staff is symbolic of guidance. So if you do not guide your children, it says, spare the rod, spoil the child. If you do not guide your children, you will ruin them or spoil them. That's what the other word for spoil or ruin or spoil is ruin. So is it talking about beating them? No. We have really got to think about what we're doing as people and as human beings. And there's a whole lot of stuff I could talk about what we're doing in error to oppress and suppress each other's energy and oppress and suppress each other as just people. And it's horribly evil, horribly sinister. But it's because it was done to us, and now we're repeating it. And the only way to stop that generational curse is to wake the hell up. Wake up and stop doing what we're doing to each other. Okay? So, also just yelling at people, speaking unkind words to your children. I was taught, speaking unkind words, and then also like the whole teaching about leaving your kids in the crib and making them sleep by themselves. That's wrong. That is totally wrong. I've totally come to that conclusion. You were supposed to be building neurological connection with your children when they're young that will last a lifetime, actually longer than a lifetime, last period, forever. They heal them. We've got to learn about our energies and how we're supposed to relate to people. And this goes for male and female relations, child and parent relations. The things we're doing are absolutely incorrect. And if you sat and really thought about it and went within and started to say, why am I doing this? You got to start questioning why you do what you do. Why do we spank our children? Why do we feel like we have authority over other people? Why do men say a woman is submitting all this stuff? Why? And then you want to say it's God's order. Is it? I need you to get in the book and actually start defining. You put those deities' names back in there and understand that this is an evolutionary process. And if you want to be initiated into the order of the higher realms, you're going to have to start at the bottom and go through the rituals. And then once you get to the rituals, you won't need the tools anymore. If anything in the Bible talks about not using certain things, that's what it means. Once you get out of one house, you don't need certain tools because you've already initiated. But you will never climb the ranks until you actually use the tools. You have to submit yourself and humble yourself to actually doing things of the earth. This is physical. We are in the physical realm. It's people who keep trying to skip steps and think we gods and we going up here. Honey, you have not even mastered this. You're not going anywhere until you master this. When you master this, then you will be found worthy and you will keep ascending until you, wherever your soul wants to be. I can't explain what that is for anybody. What level you aspire to be at. One time I thought that maybe all of us would get. Now I'm kind of like, because my heart sees all the unity. So I want everybody to be in a certain place. But I don't think that nobody goes to hell. The hell concept of burning forever. And then the whole concept, some Hebrew Israelites have it. Oh, white people gonna serve us in the kingdom. Okay. You have really got to humble yourselves and start to look into things for yourself. And it's going to take you coming away from everybody else. You can't get no group. Groupthink is a real evil. Groupthink will mess you up. When you want to congregate with a group and you want to say, okay, I'm only going to do what the group says, and as soon as you have something different comes to you, you're scared to say anything about it because you don't want to make the group mad at you. Let me tell you something. Me personally, I've had to wrestle with this. I get into friendships with people and I'm like, oh, I don't want to say nothing because they're going to get mad. I'm beyond that. I say it as nice as I can, and I put it, but I'll let you know, this is what's in my heart to say to you. It might be a little tough, and it's not necessarily tough. There's such thing as tough love. There's such thing as being honest, because I love you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't do that anymore. I can't mince my words and not tell you exactly what's coming to my spirit just because I don't want you to get mad at me. It's not about you getting mad at me. At the end of the day, I want you to be whole and be who you are and pure. and effective. The only way for you to be effective and powerful is to know who you are and actually face all your demons. And if I'm seeing something that you're not seeing, I want to be able to tell you. And if you get mad, so be it. But at the end of the day, I love you. And I'm not saying anything because I just want to be evil or I just want to say something to hurt your feelings. I want to say it because I'm looking at this situation like, nah, you need to change your focus, your outlook. That's true friendship. That's true love. That's how we should all operate. We should be able to speak to our so-called friends, or our friends, not so-called, but our friends and our family and things, and be very brutally honest with them. But because people are not ready to deal with their own demons, you can't. It's hard to do that because people want to lash out at you. What's the Bible say? Don't throw your pearls before swine, because then they'll turn around and rend you. They'll trample on the pearls and come out and rend you. Tear you up. It's happened to me many times. I'm like, damn. First of all, I wasn't even like talking about them specifically. I was just putting a general thing out there. Well, have we ever thought about this? And I make sure I say I'm doing it too, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm doing it. And they turn around and get mad at me and start, you doing this. It's like, that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about at this point in time. I could tell you so many stories, but I won't, because I've already talked for an hour. And I've had people tell me my videos are long, but you know what? If you are truly seeking spiritual enlightenment and you're really on the path, people will sit and watch a 2-hour movie, no problem. People will sit and watch a 30-minute program, no problem. But if somebody comes with some spiritual enlightenment and you got a problem with it being an hour and you can't watch and you can't focus, then hey, I just feel like that maybe we're not on the same vibration, we're not on the same frequency, and you just turn the channel. So I have to do what I feel that I have to do. I've questioned myself and I said, well, maybe I come too hard. Maybe I speak too much meat when I speak sometimes. But you know what? It doesn't feel right for me to dilute or censor myself. Being courteous to an extent is one thing, but not being true to myself, I can't do that. And if you don't resonate with what I'm saying, or if what I say offends you, then it's not for you, and that's fine. That is perfectly fine, because I've gotten to this point where I can no longer hide, and I can no longer censor myself and say, well, I'm not gonna say it, it's gonna offend somebody. The thing is, if it offends you, then it's not for you. The person whom it is for, they'll be like, damn, she right. I've had people say that, and I'll be saying stuff out of my mouth like, man, that's so mean. Why I have to say that? That's kind of hard. It's harsh, or it's more like a harsh reality or a hard truth. And I'm like, damn, I gotta say that? Yeah, you gotta say that. But then you know what happens? If the message was really for that person, they're like, you know what, you're right. I've been knowing that. I just didn't want to deal with it, didn't want to face it. And that at that point, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to come at you hard. And I don't even think I've been that harsh in this video. I've just been saying what the Spirit's telling me to say. That's how I feel. And like I said, it's just like, I'm telling you, if you really actually read what Jesus wrote, or Yeshua wrote, or said, or not wrote, but said, the lessons, whether or not you believe Jesus is an actual being, deity, or a being, not a deity, but being or not, that's not even the point. I don't even argue about that anymore, because that's not the point. It's just certain things in my spirit that I don't even bother fooling with, because at the end of the day, what's important? The important thing is that your soul evolves, and that you are enlightened, and that you learn something, and that you are freed from some error, and you're able to elevate yourself. So whether or not, I'm looking at the lessons. Is what he said useful to my life? Yes, it is. So I don't care. Is what is written in this book, is it useful to my life? Then that's all I need to know. For me to sit here and debate points that don't really matter at the end of the day, that's fruitless. I'm not into that. I only want to say that which is going to elevate, that which is going to build up. That is what I'm about. I'm a light worker, a light being. And I don't have time to sit up here and debate minute points that don't matter at the end of the day. Whether or not he actually walked the planet, or whether or not his name was Yeshua ben Joseph, even that's what I usually call him, because it just kind of makes things a little clearer. Whether you want to call it Jesus is the son. from all the research I've done, it's just very clear that it's the sun. But then there's a sun in you, your solar plexus, you. And there's a sun in the sky, as above, so below. Let's correlate all this stuff. Let's figure out how all this stuff works, how it all goes together, the parallels. Okay, that's what we should be doing. So, yeah, my videos gonna stay long. I'm gonna continue to say what I'm given to say, because just like Jesus said, or the figure Jesus or whatever said, I come from the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What is Israel? You figure it out. It is not a skin color. It is not a certain group. It is people that are in a certain that are ascending the ladder to heaven. Because if you look, when Jacob had his name changed to Israel, if you notice, he didn't wrestle with God. He said he wrestled with God and man. And it says specifically he was wrestling with a man. They changed all the names of the angels. They called them men, okay? In order for you to get into a certain house, Bethel, the house of God, that's what Bethel means. Go look it up. Go look in Genesis and read the story about Jacob, how his name got changed to Israel, and all that, and then apply it to yourself. Stop looking for some guy that lived back then, and then he had some kids, and then you get the 12 tribes, and you want to say, well, I'm 12 tribes, and I'm this. Just forget all that. Apply it to you. So if I wrestle with God and man, I enter the house of God, Bethel. And then he talked about the ladder. That was his vision before. Angels standing up and down. What is the ladder? Now go look at the masonry. Look at the 33 degrees. Look at the signs of the zodiac. The houses. The schoolhouses. And figure out how that all goes. How it all correlates to the evolution of your soul. That's all I'm going to say. Figure that out. If you actually are seeking to know the truth, and you actually want to get into the truth and walk in this path out and actually evolving and taking responsibility for your own life, that's what it equates to at the end of the day, then you will do that. And you will watch this whole video and you will hear what I'm saying now, because your soul will lead you to. Your soul will be like, damn, everything she's saying is on point. I sit here and watch 13signs-astrology.com, and I can watch video after video after video after video, and it'd be out. I can watch 4 or 5 videos in a row. That equates to a couple of hours, because these videos are usually at least 30 minutes long, 20 to 30 minutes. And if I watch 4 or 5, that's at least an hour and a half, if not more, depending on how long the individual videos are. That's because I seek to know. That's because my soul yearns to know. So therefore, you'll sit there and watch it. So, you know, I love my sisters and my brothers, and they give me advice all the time. But you know what? I'm like, you know what? If somebody's really seeking, their soul will lead them. That's how I work now. I know about souls. I know about your spirit guiding you and all that stuff. So if you are meant to hear this message, you will sit here and you'll listen to the whole thing. And the whole time, your soul will be rejoicing. And you will be happy. Like, damn, that's what I need to hear. That's the encouragement I need to hear. Because that's what I'm here to do. Encourage and build up. Period. Point blank. To build up. So yes, I'm going to speak for an hour. People go to church and they sit down to the pastor talk that long. And they saying nothing. And they hallelujah, amen. And but you won't listen to this. You'll watch a Super Bowl. You watch a football game. If you're more concerned about a football game, there's nothing wrong with football games. Nothing wrong with the Super Bowl. Nothing wrong with movies. I watch movies all the time. But let me tell you something. If you can't get your mind to a place where you can't watch something that's enlightening, and I'm giving you my experiences, so perhaps it would encourage you in yours. If your attention span is that short, then I'm like, okay, you don't want to know, or you're not ready, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine, because we're all not ready to. We're not all in the same house. We're all evolving. We're all gonna get where we're supposed to get. That's all I gotta say about that. So with that all said, I hope I got into the guys. That's how I met my guys. I cried out for them. That's what I did. I asked and I received. It started guiding me. At certain points in time, they warned me about stuff that I didn't know what it was at the time. But now I've gotten to this point in 2013 that I fully understand why I hear certain things, why certain things come to me, why I read certain things. Because I also got to a point where I was like, you know, it's too much information here. I'm reading books. I don't know if these books are telling the truth. I know somebody just write this to deceive me. I said, you know what? Guide me. At that point, I still wasn't fully conscious that I was asking my guides to help me. Because like 13 Signs Astrology, Brother Rahotep said, the God that everybody thinks that they're talking about is not even concerned or worried about what we're doing down here. And part of that reason is why, because you ain't even at that level. He assigned all these other people to deal with you until you got to that level. Okay? You can't expect God, the all, to be worried about human affairs. Ain't dealing with all that. You've been assigned guides. If you read some of this literature, it'll tell you about guardian angels and things like, what do you think a guardian angel does? It guards your soul, guards you and guides you and leads you. It talks about, one of Paul's letters, it talks about that the angels are ministers sent to those that are on the path to salvation or seeking salvation. Salvation is evolution. Okay? So if you are on that path, you will be sent. You already have them. They already been assigned. You just gotta wake up and like, oh, okay, I'm listening. That's what's supposed to happen. So if you're on that path, they will lead you and guide you. Now I'm fully conscious. Now I can start to actually be able to interact with them on a deeper level. And once I've gotten that down packed, then you keep going up levels. So the guys you think you're talking about is not even like, you can't get into that presence yet, because you got to get all this other stuff worked out. That's what the whole concept of the Bible talking about, purification, wearing robes and rituals and all these different things, getting clean and stuff. You got to purify your soul. Your soul cannot enter that house until you get other stuff together. I mean, you worried about God. What God are you talking about? There's lots of gods. The book even says that. Lords and gods, there are many. Paul, when he was talking about for us, there's only one. One is Echad, one means unity. There's one God with many emanations, things that proceed forth from it, and that would be what we call the all. Okay? You got to study sacred geometry. You got to study all these different things and figure this stuff out, and then you will start to see. But as long as you hold hatred, and that's a big part of why people don't get stuff, because they hate people. Well, I don't like the Jews, because we've chosen ones that they done lied, and they took over our heritage. They ain't took over nothing, boo. You need to get into a book and figure this stuff out. I actually saw like all these holes and all these different religious theories, and I'm like, you know what? That's not right. Let me find something. Let me keep moving. Let me keep it moving and figure out what's really going on, because that's not it. There's been a lot of things that have drawn me, and I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds real cool. Then I got into it. I'm like, no, y'all still hateful. Y'all still don't like people. You're still trying to oppress folks. You're still trying to say, well, this person needs to submit. And the thing is, it's crazy. I submitted. And when I say I submitted, I've been in relationships. I'm like, well, yeah, the Bible says I need to submit. Let me try that. Let me see how that works. And the thing is, I totally did it, and it didn't work. I want to get into why it didn't work. It doesn't work, because that's not the way. It's not natural. It's not natural for anybody to rule over anyone else. What's natural is for people to love one another and let people freely express themselves, and for people to get along and cooperate, and to let their energies complement one another. And nobody's like, well, you need to bow down to me, and I'm the man and I'm the woman. And that's not, no. You keep doing it. Feel free. In my house, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen, because it doesn't work. I already know this for a fact. I know that the power, the energy, and the things that the gifts that I have, and by me having that, I will draw to me someone who recognizes and understands these energies, these powers, and these gifts, and we will complement one another. We won't have to fight. Ain't no dominance. We'll just dance. I love how my brother put that. He said, a relationship, ain't no man submitting to a woman and a woman submitting to a man. Just dance. Once you build up a relationship with someone, there will not be any. It's natural. Everything just works. People don't know that bliss that can be in a relationship, so they're always seeking to dominate. And you don't understand. You trying to make somebody bow to your will is not going to work. It's not going to work. You need to get right within yourself to where you know who you are, and then you won't be sitting around here trying to control everybody's time. You need to do this, you need to do that. Like I said, choice is yours. You can do whatever you want to do. It's just advice. It's just my testimony. It's just what I've received. and I'm happy with it. I have peace, and I'm every day working on my peace and gaining more and more control of my own life, so that I don't have to sit up here and try to control other people. So with that, I wish you lots of love and light. Shalom, Hotep, Namaste, and one infinite love. Peace and blessings.